Hello and welcome to another episode of Geekgo. Today we're going to look at the top 10 Batman movies. Now you might be thinking, oh, there's only like 4 Tim Burton movies from that series, and there's only 3 like Christopher Nolan series, so top 10, there's not even 10 Batman movies. Well, yeah, there is more than 10 Batman movies. In fact, in my list there's a total of 27 Batman movies. I'm of course also counting the Adam West Batman movie, the Batman movie serials from the 40s, and of course all the animated Batman movies. And I'm counting all the movies that have Batman as a main character, so that includes the Justice League ones as well, and the Batman Superman movies. Now before I move on to the top 10 list, I have to address an issue. With Warner Bros. Cartoons, they currently do a sort of superhero time, superhero hour sort of thing. And between Young Justice and Green Lantern, you get DC shorts. Some of these are animated, some of these are not animated, some of these are live action and such and so forth. And one of them is a NASCAR driver who talks about Batmobiles. He doesn't really just talk about them, he just sort of sits and goes, look, this Batmobile is really cool, look at all these buttons. Something that anyone can do, but while this is nothing against him, it's against the actual premise of the short, due to utter lazy writing and lazy production. This NASCAR driver walks into a room and says, look, here are all the live action Batmobiles, of course with the 60s Batmobile missing. So he clearly isn't that hardcore of a Batman fan, that's not his fault, but getting him to come in because he's a famous NASCAR driver, you'd make sure he would say the right thing, wouldn't you? But like I said, this is nothing against the NASCAR driver himself, but overall the video is just a complete piece of crap because they have no idea what they're talking about. So now let's go on to the top Batman movie list. And remember, this is a matter of opinion, so put down in the comments below what your top 10 Batman movies are. Number 10. Justice League: The New Frontier. Now, even though this is technically a Justice League movie, it really should be called Green Lantern featuring the Justice League. Hal Jordan is the main focus of this comic to movie adaptation, and the reason it's on this list is because when Batman does appear, they've captured his character perfectly. This is of course the Golden Age / Silver Age Batman, so it's not as dark and brooding as the other ones. And Batman's subplot in this movie is that he was trying to get some coats, but ends up scaring a little child, so he changes his appearance a little bit so it won't scare children anymore and only continue to scare the bad guys. Batman also holds up his own against all the alien creatures and superpowered beings, so this movie is on the 10th position. Number 9. 1966 Batman the Movie. Batman fans have a certain love-hate relationship with the 60s Batman TV series because it is over-the-top cheesy and campy even for 60s. But hey, this series is a different sort of creature, it's not meant to be dark and brooding, it's a different version of Batman. It's like Batman the Brave and the Bold cartoon series, it's a bit silly. Batman the animated series is super dark and brooding, gritty and stuff. They both try to tell different incarnations of the character and that's absolutely just fine, and this movie is excellent in portraying the Golden Age campy cheesy Batman. In the movie, Batman has to face against 4 villains at the same time. And funnily enough, this is one of those movies where there's more than one villain and the movie doesn't become bad because of it, unlike some other films. Batman Never Open, Spider-Man 3 and X-Men 3. And also this film has one of the most iconic scenes ever where Batman's running around the pier trying to get rid of a bomb.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
The jokes are funny, the fights are pretty good, and we can always remember that really funny rubber shark right at the start of the movie. So get your shark repellent bat sprays and bat ladders and bat copters and other bat gadgets and enjoy the movie. Number 8. 2009 Superman Batman Public Enemies. Now this is an animated movie based on the first few issues of the Superman Batman comic book series. And this movie is on this list because it truly understands and captures the feel and friendship between Superman and Batman. In the comic book we get to read a lot about what the characters are thinking. So what the animated film had to do was to take all these thinking boxes in the book and somehow have to project all of it with emotions, expressions and dialogue. And I think they've done a wonderful job in capturing the feel of their friendship. After all, Batman and Superman's friendship is one of the most important aspects of the character and should never be forgotten. Number 7. 2010 Superman Batman Apocalypse. Now this animated movie is essentially on this list for the same reason. It explores the friendship between Superman and Batman. But what this animated movie does is brings Batman against Darkseid, a superhuman being. It also doesn't have a goofy ending like the last one. The friendship between Superman and Batman is explored even more in this movie, and you get to see Batman facing a bigger threat. and bigger challenges, and it also explores one of Batman's biggest characteristics where he doesn't trust anyone. Number 6. 2005 The Batman vs Dracula. Now when the Batman series first came out, I was like, oh, this is nowhere near as good as Batman the Animated Series. But when I gave it a chance later, it turns out the series was pretty good. Yes, everything's more modernized, everything's more slick and glowy, there's lights on everything, but in terms of storytelling, it's not bad. And especially this animated movie. This movie takes place right before Batman decides to take a chin job to change the shape of his jaw. But anyway, because this is an animated movie and not something that's on TV, they were allowed to make it a bit darker than the rest of the show. And this is a good thing because there's Dracula in it, and you can't have Dracula without a bit of blood spilled somewhere. Dracula is actually a perfect villain for the Batman because both of them represent fear in the form of bats. While this animated movie is based on Batman vs Dracula, I actually find this movie a lot more entertaining and a better story than the comic book itself. Because the book gets way too dark that it gets a little bit silly. With this animated movie, the Dracula themes are actually quite well balanced, and the creepy factor isn't set so high that it becomes goofy. The fights are fast and stylish, the story is strong, give it a chance. Number 5. 2002 The Batman Superman Movie. Now I know this is technically a few episodes put together, but it was released as a Batman Superman movie, so there you go. Like the other Batman Superman movies, this movie does a great job in exploring the relationship between Batman and Superman, and of course this is our ultimate Batman, the Kevin Coleman one from the DCAU, and also, well, one of the best versions of Superman around. So when you have the best versions of two characters around and exploring their relationship and growing friendship, you can't go wrong. You also have Joker and Lex Luthor as the villains, which is even better. Number 4. 2000 Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. I know there's some people out there who don't really like Batman Beyond because Batman Beyond isn't about Batman, it's about the person who replaces Batman. But I think this film is a nice crossover for both series. The Joker returns in the future by having his DNA inserted in some sort of chip that takes over someone's body. And so the new Batman, Terry McGinnis, has to fight the original Joker. And because he is a different Batman, we get to see him using his own way to defeat the Joker. And the rest of the story is heavily focused on this new Batman talking to all the characters from the original series. This movie also has a flashback sequence that has one of the most disturbing moments in the Joker's history in this animated universe. I won't spoil it for you, but just make sure you get the uncut version because the cut version is a bit ruined. Number 3. 2005 Batman Begins. I remember when I first went to see this movie in the cinema, and there was one scene in particular that made me go, yes, yes, this is Batman in live action, for God's sake, they finally got it right, spot on, spot on! And that was when Batman hung Flash upside down with his bat rope, hanging him upside down, dropping him near to the ground, pretty much scaring him half to death and then interrogating him. I have waited so long to see a live action of this, ever since I've been watching the 90s Batman animated series where he does it all the time. And with that scene and the rest of the movie, I felt that someone finally tapped into the animated series and brought that Batman to the live action world. I love how they built an entire Gotham City set inside a hangar, and I love how the other characters are portrayed as Scarecrow, Zaz, Alfred, and Ra's al Ghul. Now of course this movie isn't on top because there are some flaws. For example, the film feels like it's two movies slapped together. Some of the characters fall into the Christopher Nolan syndrome where they like to talk too much. And the Tumbler will never be a Batmobile to me. They could have called it the Bat Tank and I would be like, oh, that's okay. But no, that's his Batmobile and I was like, ugh. Don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant British created machine, but it's just not a Batmobile. Number 2. 1993 Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Batman from the animated universe is considered by many the ultimate version of Batman, and trying to tell the original story of that character can be quite tricky, and with this film I think they did the job right. This isn't just a simple origin story, this is an origin story that actually mixes well with the current events happening in the movie. Whereas in Batman Begins it feels like two movies stuck together, in Mask of the Phantasm the whole movie flows very fluently, and actually more emotionally involved, because this story is also a well-written love story that mixes in with Batman's beginnings. We see that Bruce Wayne does have a doubt in becoming Batman because he falls in love with someone, but due to a tragic event he gives up on his love life and carries on becoming the Batman. And the film wraps the story up nicely when Batman has to fight the Joker again and protecting the one he loves. Now, before we move on to number 1, everyone just needs to calm right now because these are all opinions. So what is number 1? Number 1. 1989 Batman. While Tim Burton's Batman in his Batman Gotham world isn't the most accurate portrayal of Batman, what Tim Burton does understand is loners, and Batman is a loner. Sure, Batman eventually grows to have a Bat family like Robin and Batwoman and Batgirl and all that, but Batman still essentially works alone, and is someone who never fully trusts or integrates into the Justice League. Also, if Kevin Conroy is the perfect Batman voicing Batman, Michael Keaton is the perfect live-action Bruce Wayne and Batman. He plays both parts so well that every time I see him as Batman, he is Batman. I won't look at him and think, oh look, that's Beetlejuice. No, I see Bruce Wayne Batman. The movie's atmosphere is also captured perfectly and has a timeless essence that none of the other live-action films would ever have. I mean, let's face it, as good as The Dark Knight looks, it looks like Chicago as it is in the 2000s. In 50 years time, we'll look at that film and go, yeah, it's a movie of its time, doesn't age well at all. But because the Gotham City in the Batman movies is set in an alternate world, it stays timeless. The designs are unique, the cars are unique, the characters are unique, everything is so unique. Just like in video games, sometimes an art style is better than photorealism because as realistic as you can get something, it will age with time. Whereas if you have a unique art style, people always look at it and go, okay, this is drawn like this for a purpose, this is designed like this to look special, and it doesn't look like it's from a certain age.
Kick your f***ing ass! I want you off the f***ing set, you prick!
Oh, come on, Batman. This is strictly an opinion-based video. Jeez, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings or something.
No, don't just be sorry. Think for 1 f***ing second.
But I've been thinking about this list for a long time.
You're unbelievable, man. You're un-f***ing believable.
Jeez, you think you're mad now, but wait till you hear my top 5 worst Batman movies list. And of course, let me end this top 10 list on the most iconic scene from this movie. So enjoy, suggest, comment below, and have a nice day. Bye.